Hello everyone. Today we are going to practice once again summarizing and synthesizing. Remember, summarizing means telling the most important details in a text in order, in your own words, and synthesizing means thinking about what did I know before reading the text? What do I know now that I've read it? How has my thinking changed? So before I even begin, let's just think right now. Wildfires, that's our main topic. In this picture right here, what do I know or think about wildfires? Well, something I think about wildfires is that they are really dangerous, but I don't think they could ever happen in Minnesota. I've only ever heard about them happening in places like California. So that's what I'm thinking at the beginning. Now I'm going to go through and read this short text right here. Oh, excuse that. Read this short text right here. And then as I read, I'm going to be looking for what do I think the main idea is, and what do I think those most important details are in this text. Then I'll be filling out this chart to help me write my summary. These make up my summary statement, and the important details help me finish my summary. And I'll end with some synthesizing. After reading, I think this because this. So let's get started. Wildfires. Wildfires are a pretty common event. It is estimated that over 100,000 fires happen in the United States alone each year. So how do they begin? I know that when there's a question asked in the beginning of a text, usually the rest of that text is going to work towards answering it. So I'm already guessing that this text is going to be about how wildfires begin. First, there may be a lack of water in the area. This is known as a drought. During this time, the land is very dry and can easily catch fire. Okay, so it sounds like one of the things that start wildfires are droughts, and this line here explains that. During this time, the land is very dry and can easily catch fire. Next, something has to cause the fire to begin. 90% of the time, it is humans. Forgetting to put out a campfire or throwing away a burning cigarette can cause the land to go up in flames. Now, I know with my summaries, usually I want to just include those main points. So I don't necessarily need to say that forgetting to put out a campfire or throwing a cigarette away can cause wildfires, but I do maybe want to note that a lot of the time, 90% of the time, humans are causing the fires. After the fire begins, it takes an extraordinary effort to put them out. Wind can push the fire along at speeds quicker than firefighters can put them out, especially in areas with lots of trees and vegetation. If a wildfire continues to spread, it can cause incredible amounts of damage to forests and homes. Upon reading that, there were two words that stood out to me. Number one is that wind can push the fire along. So I know that wind can make the wildfires worse. I also wanted to note at the bottom that it said wildfires can cause incredible amounts of damage to forests and homes. So as I was reading, those were my main points. Make sure to note, I didn't underline everything. I didn't underline every detail. I just underlined what I thought was the most important ideas. So now I'm going to be filling out this chart right here. Now the only thing that I can't do right away, because it says title and author, is there is no author. So I'm not going to include the author. If there's no author, that's what happens. I can say, the article, what's it called? Wildfires. That's my first thing. So I need to say the title and the author. But since I don't have an author, I just say the article wildfires. Next, I need an action word. I like to use the word explains. You're telling what the article does. You can also say talks about, says, etc. But I'm going to say the article wildfires explains. And now I need to include the main idea. What was this paragraph mostly about? Well, I remember up top it said, how do wildfires begin? And that is what most of it talked about. You need a drought. Usually humans play a role. wind can make them worse. So I'll say the article Wildfires explains how wildfires start and what they do. Because I remember at the end it talked a little bit about damage. So there's my main idea. Now, for important details, I have to go back and think, what were the most important things I read about in this paragraph? Well, one of the things I decided was super important is how they're started, because the land needs to be super dry. I want to include some key vocabulary, so I'm going to try to use the word drought, which means a time when there's no rain and the land is very dry, so things can easily catch fire. I need to put this in my own words, though, so it's kind of good that I can't see it. I'm going to put it into my own words down here. One important detail is that wildfires can happen when there is a drought, which causes dry land. Another detail I thought was important is that usually 90% of the time humans are the reason that fires begin in the wild. So I'll put that detail down there as well. Number 2, wildfires are often started by humans. And I remember I talked about specific examples, but I'm just going to say wildfires are often started by humans making silly choices, like throwing cigarettes in the wild. And I can include a third important detail, which is good, because I actually included one up here. Well, I said wind can push the fire along at quick speeds, and wildfires can cause incredible amounts of damage. Now, I could include both of these, but I think this one's pretty obvious. We know wildfires cause a lot of damage, so I'm going to mention how the wind can make wildfires worse, and that's all I'm going to say. Strong wind can make wildfires worse. All right, now I need to synthesize. So remember I thought in the beginning that wildfires can really only happen in places like California, because that's really where I've heard about them. Well, after reading, land can get dry anywhere. Strong winds can happen anywhere. I'm kind of realizing that I don't know if we're safe from wildfires. I think wildfires could happen in Minnesota too. So let's put that in there. After reading, I think wildfires could happen anywhere because any place can experience a drought and have strong winds. So reading this kind of changed my thinking. Now I'm going to put all of this together. Here are my sentence starters. I don't really think I need them, so I'm going to start down here. I might still use them, but okay. So if I need to go back up here, I can to see what I did. The article Wildfires, there was no author, explains, what did I say up here? How wildfires start and what they do. And I can always change my writing a little bit if I want it to sound better. So I'll say explains how wildfires start and the damage they can cause. Ooh. But you know what? When I was looking at my details, I didn't really talk about the damage that wildfires can cause. So if that's not in my summary, maybe I don't need that. Let me go back and adjust. The article Wildfires explains how wildfires start. We'll leave it at that. Now, I gave some sentence stems here. We can use those. One important detail is, look back up to what I said, wildfires can happen when there is a drought, which causes dry land. I don't have to use those exact words. One important detail is wildfires often happen when the land is dry, like during a drought. There we go. Additionally, that's my sentence starter for my next important detail. And remember, all these details have to do with what I said the main idea was, which is how wildfires start. Additionally, wildfires are often started by humans making silly choices like throwing cigarettes in the wild. Additionally, wildfires are often started, I can change my wording by people making silly choices. Maybe I don't want to say silly, maybe I want to say dangerous, because that might add to the intenseness of wildfires. Making dangerous choices, like throwing cigarettes in the forest. I'm going to say burning cigarettes, make it more descriptive. Finally, my last detail, strong winds can make wildfires worse. I want to emphasize that this is something important to know, so I'll say that in my writing. Finally, it's important to know that strong winds can make wildfires more dangerous. I'm going to end with my synthesizing. After reading, I think. After reading, I think that wildfires could happen anywhere. Because any place can have, I said there, can experience a drought and have strong winds, which are things that cause wildfires. So that definitely changed my thinking because I didn't know that before. And there we have it. I read my text, I annotated, I found all the information I would need to write my summary, I synthesized, and I put it all together using my sentence stems. Now it's your turn.